The following interview segment was taken from Talking Wealth on flix.net. That's FLIXX.net. Talking Wealth is brought to you by Wealth Within and presented by Dale Gillham and Janine Cox. To watch the full episode, go to flix.net, click on the On Demand section, and then click on Talking Wealth under the Finance section. Or for more information, visit wealthwithin.com.au. All right, we have a new person on Talking Wealth today, Jason Howe. And Jason is a certified financial planner, former US congressional candidate and president of Jason Howe Company. His company has an emphasis on building family wealth. The Jason Howe Company has created a process that develops parents into future patriarchs and matriarchs. Jason is an adjunct instructor of personal finance at American University's Kogard School of Business. He's been featured as both a financial expert and independent political strategist on ABC News, Channel 8, US News and World Report, Yahoo Finance, Reader's Digest, NASDAQ.com and the New York Times. Jason is also the author of a book, Joy of Financial Planning. Jason Howe, welcome to Talking Wealth. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me, Dale.
No, I've been looking forward to this because obviously as a fellow author and an author with Mascot Books, it's sort of like joining the club, isn't it? Having a nice, being able to chat with fellow authors there. But today I really did want to, I know your book's been out a little bit, but today I really did want to first up talk about your book, which I believe has been out a couple of years now. I think 2018-19 you launched the book.
2019, right at the end of the year, thankfully, not in the middle of the pandemic, but just a few months before.
Well timed.
Very well timed. I think mine came out in October 2018, just a tiny little bit before yours. So, yeah. But I must say, the book just speaks to you, and I really did. As I'm going through the book, I haven't fully read it, so I need to say that.
It's a lot of
front.
pages. I understand.
I'm going as a financial expert. I'm looking through it, and I've read a lot of financial books. But there's just so beautifully written the book. It's so easy to read, and it really does speak to you and I feel there's a lot of heart in the book. That's what I felt, and a lot of value, a lot of ethics, and a lot of heart. And you don't often see that in financial type books. But I'd really love to get it from the horse's mouth. So can you tell us a little bit about your book and why you wrote it, and more importantly, what you hope readers take from that?
Well, it was an opportunity, really. I'm a financial planner by trade, but I'm one of those people that they call career changers. And so I came into this side of the industry in 2013. Mm-hmm. Before that, I was more of a corporate accounting and finance person. I learned so much. I thought I had known a lot. I had been in business for so long, but getting into financial advice was just so much. And I thought, well, not everyone can be my client, but almost anyone could purchase a book. And for the longest while, I thought this is something I'd like to do. You see in my bio, I ran for office once. In fact, right before I became a financial advisor. And everyone would meet with me, which is great if you're a financial advisor. But all they wanted to talk about was my run for office. And so I would try to bury that part of me so that I could be the financial advisor. And then I would read our trade magazines, and all they would say is, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And so I had to work out reconciling these two people that were out there. This person that had this alternative background and this person who was coming up in the financial advisory business. And the book gave me that opportunity. It really allowed me to say, yeah, I ran for office because of the economics of the country, of the world. I'm becoming a financial advisor because I figured if I didn't get elected, I may as well work on your family. And now I can put them together in this book, and it really solidified everything that I was about.
Wow.
It's just, as I said, it's just fantastic to me. It's really about, it just speaks to people, and I love it. It's about family. It's a whole different take on it. So I'm not sure if you got any comments on it, Janine.
Yeah, look, I'm just intrigued, what is it about the family in particular? Because I haven't read your book yet. So what is it about the family in particular that really you're wanting to address? The biggest thing?
Well, you hear so much about the American dream, and so many people around the world have potentially a different version, but it usually comes down to one thing. It's about taking an opportunity and finding success from wherever you are. But here's the key. It's not really for yourself. That's gotten a little bit muddled. It's usually for the next generation. You're already here. You're already working hard. You already weren't a millionaire by 20, so it's over for you. But you're hoping that your family, your next generation, doesn't have it as hard as you. You're hoping they go beyond you. That's really what it's all about. And when I work with clients, when I talk through this book, it's the same thing. It's really about these family goals. You both know probably most people don't have financial goals. You ask them what their financial goals are, they say, I don't know. But you ask them what their family goals are, and they can't stop talking.
Wow.
And so it is about family wealth. And one more bullet point about this, I took some of these concepts from the ultra wealthy. And so these are families that have 30 million, 40 million, 50 million plus. They are typically serviced by a family office. They do family governance, which is section 1 of the book. And they have these needs to figure out, how do I pass these monies on to the next generation? They literally have to deal with it, because otherwise the government will deal with it in the way that they'd like. Most people don't maybe have money, so they don't have to worry about it. But folks who have 30, 40, 50, 100 million, it's automatically generational wealth. Well, I started thinking to myself, why can't the regular net worth think of ourselves the same way? We also have dreams for the next generation, and maybe we have a few less zeros, but maybe we still want to pass some things on, and still want to pass on not only our finances, but our values and our standards. And so I come at it with this idea of family wealth, because it seems to be the very best way to manage everything else.
Yeah, that's really unique, isn't it? Like you say, when you've read a lot of financial books, it's a really different way of thinking. I'm really fascinated. I like it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you see my bookshelf, it's just got money books, business.
I imagine. Oh my gosh.
Personal development. I don't read books that, like fictional books. I actually read books that feed my mind and feed my soul. That's the books that I read.
Entirely fair.
And I'm sitting there going through the chapters, and I'm going, is this feeding my mind or feeding my soul? And I went, but that's a good paradigm. It's like, well, it's doing both at the same time. And you are, as you said, your first chapter, it really does set that scene, because, we've got to understand why we're doing something, but then the how and the what comes over that after that. But, the first chapter, I think it was titled Joy of Harmony, Family Governance. And to me, you just set it out there, what you need to be doing, and everybody could sit down with their children and really start to map out not only their future, but their family's future, and then their families, their multiple generations, because I think probably the best thing that we can teach our children is to be able to create their own wealth and everything, and to be, give our values, give our ethics to them, and help them be better individuals and raise themselves up. But I did really love that chapter.
Oh, I'm so glad you do, Dale, and so glad you sort of felt that as you were reading, because that was my intention. You write books, you've been speaking with other authors, you have books on the shelf. One might ask, why do we need another finance book? What's the point of that? And I asked myself that, and then when I figured out an answer, I had everyone else asking me that same question. And so, I think the hardest part of writing a book is really identifying what you want to say.
Yes.
Of course, if you're an expert, you can write, vocabulary, and you can define terms, and you can give people best practices. But what do you want to say about it all? And that helped me actually write the title. I couldn't figure out a title until I figured out what to say. So people say, or they ask, how long did it take you to write the book? Well, my initial answer is about 3 years. But in reality, as soon as I figured out what I wanted to say, it was a little less than a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look, it is. When you're writing a book, it's very much about, when you've got the end goal in mind, and to me, the best books and the best authors are not writing the book to make money. It's not about that. It's about... And the only word I can use is about helping people. If your honest desire is to help people, then that will come through in your book. And, as we just, talked about, there's a lot of different money books that I've read, and you can tell when people are writing them, it's all about them making money. And they're so sterile and they're boring, and because anybody can talk about budgeting and saving money and investing in whatever it is, but it's really engaging the person and giving them the sense and transferring the belief from you to them that they can do it. And that's what I was getting through the book. And you want to add to that?
Look, I just want to say something, because I was having a conversation with a lady yesterday, and she was talking about some money that she wanted to hand over to her kids who are in their 30s, 40s, and they wanted it to do renovations, a new kitchen, this sort of thing. And I was almost, because we don't give personal financial advice, but I was just giving her information. I said, look, I've had a lot of clients who have looked at this website, have done some research. They're trying to set their kids up to prepare them for their future, and how much does spending that $40,000 or whatever it is on renovating the house now cost them in the long run? And have they worked it out? Because then they could make a better decision. Do they really want to do that? Is it an emotional need now, or is it something that's good planning? So, your book would actually speak volumes to so many people. And Dale and I were having a conversation. It was only a week ago, and I said to him, what is it? All these books, are people dumb or something? Because, and I don't want to be too rude, but, there are so many books that have been written, like you say, and people are just not getting it. And sometimes I thought about it later, and I thought sometimes it's got to be the way that it's written, like the way that you've written your book, as Dale's described, that will just really sort of, hit people. They'll see the cover, read it, and then start thinking, yep, this is going to grab me, and this is going to be what... And sometimes it's just the right timing as well, isn't it? That people are ready.
It is. To me, it's about, I want a book that I can't wait to pick up again, not the one that I can't wait to put down.
Sure.
And yours just kept drawing me into it. I'm going, I don't have time, but I got to keep reading. I just want to keep reading.
Good.
But it is written so well, and I think that what Janine was trying to say is you really do need to connect with the people, and that's what I found in your book. It really connected with me, even though I understand everything you're talking about in there, because I've been in financial services for 3 decades nearly. So, but it doesn't mean I can't learn from you, and I don't mean I can't learn a different way. And I think how you've structured the book is great to help people walk through a whole process, not just telling them they've got a problem, but working with them and where they're going and how they're going to do it. Because, achieving financial success really is a dream many aspire to, and indeed I know in your book you talk about that American dream, and you briefly touched on it a little bit earlier. Yet, I'd add many people around the world, not just Americans, Australians would aspire to pretty much the ideal of that American dream. Now, so how do people go about achieving this success? Because, Jason, you've done such a good job in the book. I'd like to get you to talk about it here.
Thank you. We are at a very interesting time in world history, certainly in U.S. history. It's so easy to see where we are as people in economic history. There was a time when our parents and our grandparents only needed to know one thing, and they passed it down to both of you and everyone listening. Work hard, right? Get an education and work hard, and you'll do well. And it worked for them. Because many of our parents and grandparents are actually doing fine, whether if they have pensions over in Australia, they might have pensions here in the United States until things changed in 1978 and 86. So they're okay because they did just that. They worked hard. Maybe they got a legitimate professional education through a formal education through college, university. Maybe they learned a trade, and that was okay. These days, we have to go beyond that, unfortunately. We have to become economically astute. We have to learn areas of finance that have both changed, but also gotten more complicated and also gotten a little more trying as we figure it out. It's gotten easier to trade stocks in the stock market, for example. I watched one of your videos and you were interviewed and they were asking you, how do we get involved with stocks? Truth is, it's gotten easier to do that, which is a problem.
Yes.
Because if you don't know what you're doing, you can make bigger problems much faster. And so that isn't necessarily the actual issue. It comes all the way back to something that's a little more dry. No one wakes up in the morning and says, you know what I need today? A financial plan. Nobody says that.
Nobody says that. No, they don't.
Right. But in fact, that's where you start. with the financial planning process, which includes investing. It includes estate planning, which is incredibly amorphous to many people, but it includes cash flow management. It includes tax management. It's all of this stuff. So how do you begin? Well, the very first step is to evaluate where you are. Where am I today? How do you do that? Well, there are some fancy terms called, net worth statement, cash flow statement, but let's make it easy. Write down the value of everything you own, bank accounts, maybe investment accounts if you have any, the value of your home, the value of your car, everything you own. Then write down the value of everything you owe, credit cards, loans, the mortgage on that house that you mentioned that you own. Add that up and take the two columns and take the difference. Now, more than likely, it could be a negative number. It could be a negative number, and you say, "Oh my gosh, I'm worth this." Well, that's your net worth, not your self-worth. It's your net worth, and it's a snapshot in time. If you won the lottery tomorrow, your net worth would be entirely different. So it's always a snapshot in time. So that's the first evaluation. Am I positive or negative on my net worth, not my self-worth? Then it's some version of an income or cash flow statement for a period of time. And so for the month of May, how much did I make? How much did I spend? What's the difference? Now, hopefully that's not negative. Otherwise, you're on credit cards or something like that. But if it isn't, and for most people, it likely isn't, then you can say, all right, that's how much money I have left to save, which fixes that net worth statement. And so these two statements go together. This is a practice of arithmetic that you can do month by month. And there's something that happens in the brain, in the reticular activator, that says, I want these numbers to look better. And all of a sudden, no one has to tell you to spend less, because you will inherently know, if I spend less and I make this amount, the number on the bottom gets better. And I kind of want to see that in July. And not forcibly, I just kind of want to. And similarly with the net worth statement, when that number gets better on the cash flow, the net worth all of a sudden gets better. It's the only way. You can't take cash and pay off debt. The net worth is the same. So you have to get more cash from the income, and then it affects it. That gets you what we crave, which is this momentum in a positive place. You're building this particular habit of observing your financial life. And most of us are smart. If we were able to observe what we were doing in this way by means of personal financial statements, you'd start making the correct decisions around cash flow, start fighting the neuromarketing that comes from the internet, that comes from walking by a store with someone who's got a mannequin with a beautiful outfit, but it's closed pin in the back, but it looks amazing on that mannequin, so I'm buying it. That's all neuromarketing. Neuroscientists working with board people who are business people who are in boardrooms in marketing, combining that and helping you buy subconsciously. You don't stand a chance. It's subconscious. So the only way to get started on this is to become conscious. And becoming conscious begins with your personal financial statements.
Yep, that's so succinctly said. And we always talk about budgets, and I love the fact that you talked about and focused on the cash flow. The budget word didn't even come into it. That's a swear word for a lot of people.
It is.
So you took that negative out of there, but just by the way you phrased it, so it made it sound great. So I hope that encourages more people to go that way.
Yeah, I think what you just said is quite empowering rather than disempowering, and I find people that don't do what you were just talking about, they're actually disempowering themselves and putting that spiral downwards, whereas just taking those shifts that you're talking about will empower them, and the more they get empowered, the more they can do, the more they can achieve, the more they get, and the more they move through into success and financial well-being. Jason, you've just been a really wonderful guest today. I think thank you very, very much for your absolutely wonderful words of wisdom, and again, thank you for your book. I don't often say that to authors, but thank you for putting out that book. It really is a great book, and I would encourage anybody watching it just to buy it. Don't even think about how much it costs, just buy it, because what you'll get out of it will empower you and will lead you through into financial success if you follow the tips in it. So, but before we go, can you tell people where they can actually buy your book and where they can find you and even ask you questions, etc.?
Well, because I'm working with such a great publisher, you can find it on barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. That'll be the easiest way to grab a copy, which is wonderful. And if you're looking for me, just go to my name, jasonhowell.com.
Fantastic. Well, Jason Howe, thank you for being on Talking Wealth today and sharing your wisdom and your time with us. And we look forward to chatting with you again sometime soon. Take care.
Dale, Janine, thank you. And Jack behind the camera. I appreciate it so much.
Bye for now.
For more information on our guest in today's episode, visit the link on screen right now. For more Talking Wealth, visit flix.net, click on the On Demand section, and then click on Talking Wealth under the Finance section. That's flixx.net. Or visit wealthwithin.com.au, where we have hundreds of informational videos, live shows, and Talking Wealth podcasts. Talking Wealth was voted number 3 in stock market podcasts globally in 2018 by FeedSpot. For more information on our courses, visit wealthwithin.com.au.